Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. So today we're going to be diving right into how you can pass your real estate exam the first time. I'm going to be going over 5 major tips that helped me pass the first time I took my exam. Hopefully it works for you. So the first step is to read. We're going to listen and then read again, okay? And I'm going to explain that. So the first read is for reading before the class starts, right? So you want to make sure you go through the chapter. If you have any questions, you can be prepared to ask your instructor once you guys are in class. Then when you're in class, listen to your professor. Don't take notes. You can take notes, like little tidbits here and there, but try to listen and really take in what your professor is saying, so that if there is any point that you're not understanding, any concept, any definition, that is a time to get clarity on that, okay? So once you read the first time, listen in class, you're gonna go back after class and you're gonna read that chapter again. That kind of seals all of that information in your head. There's something about the brain where if you see something enough times, it just somehow just gets plastered into your brain. So you want to do those 3 steps for each chapter. And I promise you, the second time you read it, it just seals in. It makes sense. And I feel like you almost catch stuff a second time. Almost like when you watch that movie that you've watched, I don't know, a while ago, and you watch it the second time and you're like, hey, I didn't catch that the first time. The same thing that happens when you read that again after the class is over. Step 2 is to take notes. What you need to do is buy a notebook for this class. Don't rip pages out of your old notebook. Don't borrow pages from. Get a whole new notebook and just start from chapter 1 and write all your notes down until you finish all of the chapters. This is going to help you have all your notes in one file. You don't want to create notes over here and put them in notes over here and then try to pile them together. It's not going to make any sense. So just before you start the class, or if you started the class already, that's perfectly fine. Go get a notebook and start from chapter 1, rewrite all of your notes or write all your notes, and just make sure that all your notes are compiled in one, so that when it's time to actually study, you have everything right there. You have your book with all of the details, and then you have your notes to compare. That way, if you had any questions or whatever it may be, you can highlight it. Highlighters were my best friend during this process. I had color codes for everything, so whatever works for you, but just make sure all of your notes are consolidated in one place, in an organized fashion, and I promise it'll make life easier for you when you start to study. The third step is to study but not cram. So there's a difference. Cramming is like quickly memorizing something so that you can pass an exam. I promise you, on this exam, this specific exam, it's not gonna work. If it worked in college, fine. Maybe even in high school. But on this exam, it's not going to work. And I'm going to tell you why. The real estate exam has a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot of information, a lot of definitions, a lot of laws, a lot of regulations. If you cram, I can promise you, you're going to mix things up. It's not going to make sense. You want to thoroughly understand all of these concepts, all of these definitions. A lot of people, when I started my journey, said just pass the exam and most of this stuff you may not need it again. I get that, but you still need to understand the law if you come up on something. You know what I mean? You still want to have that somewhere in your memory and be able to pull it out or whatever. But trust me, do not cram. You want to study. You want to read the book as many times as you can. Your eyes are going to feel like they want to fall out. It's okay. They're not going to fall out. You'll be fine. So study, study, study. Use flashcards if you can. Highlighters are my best friends, like I said before. Take notes. So make sure that you study. Do not cram. There's way too much information on this exam for you to cram. I promise you, cramming is not going to work. It may have worked in the past. I've done it before as well. It's not going to work this time. So just try to understand the concepts, even for yourself, right? Like, a lot of people want to take the shortcut and just like kind of glide through this process and hurry up and become a real estate agent. But how are you really going to serve your buyers and your sellers and your investors if you don't know what you're talking about? If you just want to get on the field just to be on the field, but you are not even properly educated about a lot of the things that are going to come up in your career. So this is not just to pass a test. This is to set your career off in the right way. So that was step number 3. Step number 4, you want to create hints or stories for any concept that you do not quickly grasp. Okay, so steps 1 through 3 are really going to have you understanding and grasping, I would say 90% of the concepts on this exam. Then there's going to be that 10% that it's not clicking for some reason. You're just not getting. This is for that 10%. You want to create little stories or little memories in your head. Like, for example, for some reason, for the life of me, I was not grasping curtsy. So, curtsy in real estate is when the husband of whoever is granted the rights to the property of his wife when she passes away. So one of the stories or hints that I used was, we curtsy, women curtsy at the end of a show. And so essentially this lady or whoever is curtsying at the end of her life. And that is when the husband gets granted all of her properties. Does that make sense? It may not make sense to you, but you want to do something that makes sense for you, right? It made sense in my head, and I actually got a question on the test, and that played in my mind because I had said it to myself over and over and over again, like, you're going to curtsy, it's the end of your life, blah, blah, whatever. So stuff like that. You want to just attach little stories, and it can be funny. It can be whatever it is. If it's something funny that your spouse does, if it's something hilarious that your parents do or your kids, just attach it to the meaning, and I promise you it'll work for that 10% of the concepts and the definitions that you don't quickly grasp like the others. The final step, which I feel like is the most important. I felt like number 1 was important, but I feel like number 5 is they're all important, but I feel like the most important tip, if you don't take anything else from this video, please take your exam immediately. Should I say it louder for the people in the back? Take your exam immediately. Yes, they say take, hours upon hours to study, blah, blah, blah. Take your exam ASAP, and I'm going to tell you why. So through the class, your professor, your instructor, is going to have little stories that they attach to each of these concepts. They're going to have a way they're going to explain it that it's going to be not ingrained, but it's going to be like a little fuzzy, but you're going to remember it, right? A day, 2 days, a week after your class. When you wait a month, 2 months, 6 months, that memory, it's almost like a downward graph where it's like you're up here the day after you pass, right? I mean, the day after you finish your class, right? And then there's like a decline. And 3 months later, you're here. All this memory right here is gone, right? It's all gone. So you want to make sure that you use your muscle memory quickly to pass this exam. Now, the PSI exam, which real estate exam, can be taken within a year of you passing your exam. So that's the allotted time that they give you From the day you finish your exam, you have a full year to go and take your exam. Don't play yourself. I did that. Okay? I did that. I waited, I'm going to say a few months. It's not worth it. You're not going to remember anything. You're going to think you're studying all your notes and you're going to think, oh, I'm just going to read the book again. It's not going to be like how your instructor teaches you. And that's if you have a good instructor, but that's a whole nother video. If you guys want to see that, let me know down below. Picking out a good school with a good instructor, that's another, we can add that as bonus tip number 6 to how to pass your exam, because that's important. There are some teachers, not a lot, but there are some teachers that literally will make a PowerPoint and they'll read off of it, and it's like, where are the examples? Where's the explanation? What's going on here? So you don't want that, but that's a whole nother topic. So yeah, just definitely make sure that you take your exam immediately. The worst thing that's going to happen is that you fail. So what? You're gonna fail? Okay. Nobody's gonna beat you. They're not gonna say you can't take the exam again. If you finish your class on a Friday, take it on Saturday. Now, I know you can't, with the PSI, they only let you take it every other day. So like if you fail the, God forbid, you fail the exam on a Monday, you can't just go back on Tuesday. You have to wait till Wednesday. So there's like a 24-hour grace period or whatever. So if your class finishes on a Friday, take the exam on Saturday. More than likely, you're going to pass. But let's say you don't, take it again on Monday and on Wednesday until you get it, and you will. And the more you see those questions, honestly, if you fail the first time or the first couple of times, the more you see those questions, you'll go back and study those specific questions. So if you pass your exam, you're just going to see a pass, right? There's going to be a green pass across the screen, right? You don't get your grade. But if you fail, they will give you a list of all of the concepts that were on the exam. And to the right, they're going to give you like a percentage or a number, I think, of how many of those questions were on the exam and how many of those you got right or wrong, right? So they're going to break it down. So you're going to have a like an analysis of how you did, so that you can take that back and study. You can see, oh, I got all of the rules and regulations right. Perfect. My contracts, ooh, I didn't do so well. Let me go study that and read that chapter 2 more times before I come back and take this exam in 2 days. You know what I mean? So you get a full analysis. So don't be afraid to take this exam and fail. It's okay. All they're going to do is give you a detailed analysis so that you can take that to go study. That's good for you. You know what I mean? And the other option is passing. So don't be scared to fail. So my next video, I really want to talk to you guys about what you need to do the day of your exam to make sure you pass. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching and always coming back. Alrighty guys, have a good day. Thank you.